So now let's get into the 6 most underutilized channels and tactics that I see for content creators at the moment. So number 1 is one-on-one conversations. There is exponentially more value to be unlocked from individual conversations than from talking to or at the masses and posting on social. These one-on-one conversations can happen in a million different ways. They could be DM conversations, they could be Zooms, they could be calls, they could be in person, they could be whatever, and they could be with a variety of different people for a variety of different reasons. But if you talk to one buyer, one subscriber, one client, one peer, you will be amazed how much you learn that then influences everything else that you're doing. Conversations with 5 of your clients one-on-one will do more for you than a survey of all your clients or all your buyers.
Yep.
One-on-one conversations, massively underutilized. The second underutilized channel and tactic may surprise people because a lot of people think that it's overused, is newsletters. Lots of creators have newsletters, but the truth is every creator should have one. And for that matter, I actually believe every person should have one. And not because you have to get 1 million subscribers, but the forcing function of a newsletter, the forcing function of every week or every 2 weeks, you having to come up with something to share, even if it's a paragraph, even if it's one link to something. It is amazing how much you will learn. And then on top of that, you will attract an audience. You will establish yourself as in a space and some expertise. You'll put yourself in the middle of a community. It's the best way the most direct way to reach people. We are not in a newsletter bubble. The idea that like there's too many newsletters out there, that's not true. Everyone should have one. And so therefore, despite it's seeming like there's newsletters everywhere, I think it's still underutilized. The third underutilized tactic that I want to share here is doing less. Everyone I meet is trying to do too much and they're trying to be in too many places.
Guilty.
And I include myself in that, despite the fact that I am constantly trying to do less. I still feel like I'm doing too much. Nothing will have a bigger impact on your success than doing less. And I know that seems counterintuitive, but I see it over and over again for myself, for other people. You will have a more successful social strategy if you use one platform than if you use 5. I highly recommend that anytime you look at what you're doing and go, a question to ask yourself is, if I had to stop doing 25% of the things that I do, what would I stop doing? And try it for a week, try it for a month, try it for a couple months, whatever. You will be amazed how not only does it not hurt you, but everything else improves.
Yeah.
So doing less, highly underutilized tactic. The fourth underutilized tactic is distribution. And what I mean by that is creators by their nature, we like to create.
Yeah.
So we're always like, let me make the next thing, let me write the next blog post, do the next social post, whatever. But as a result, we become too focused on creation and not focused enough on the distribution of our creations. This goes into the sort of people are not getting the most value they could out of what they create. How do you get more value of it? You spend more time on distribution. The truth of the matter is most people probably spend 80% or more of their content creation time on creating, maybe 20% on distribution. If you flip that, you would probably get much more out of it. The fifth underutilized tactic here is what I call packaging. So what this means is the way you present your content is as important as the content itself. Let's say that again, because people easily overlook this. The way you present your content is as important as the content itself. There are a million ways to package up your content to make it more interesting, more noteworthy, etc. Turn individual blog posts into a mini series. Suddenly it feels bigger, right? Start a recurring feature where every day you do this on Twitter or every day you do this on LinkedIn or whatever. Look for ways to package your ideas that are unique and compelling and that will make them more likely to get noticed and remembered. I've used this example before, but it's a really simple one. Lin-Manuel Miranda on Twitter used to every morning have a good morning tweet and every night have a good night tweet. The tweets were just the same sort of random whatever stuff. There was nothing special about the tweets other than every morning he said good morning and every night he said good night. And he became known for that. And it separated him from every other celebrity that was doing the typical whatever on Twitter, to the point that he wound up creating a good morning, good night book of just his good morning and good night tweets. No one was buying a book of just like, here's Lin-Manuel's tweets, but that packaging made it seem different. That packaging led to people replying every morning and saying, oh, good morning, Lin. Good night, Lin. It's interesting because you work in employer branding. That's a branding play.
Yeah.
How do you package the things that you're doing to make them more interesting? And then the sixth one here, last but not least, underutilized tactic, which I think goes right along with packaging, is unique formats. So don't do things the way most others do them. An unexpected format for your blog post, your tweets, your podcast, your videos, whatever, an unexpected format gives you a huge competitive advantage in the battle for attention. This is one of the things that I have done that has, I think, benefited me the most. It's not a coincidence that my newsletter is a one paragraph newsletter and nobody was doing a one paragraph newsletter when I did it. It's not a coincidence that my podcast features guests asking me 3 questions and not me interviewing other people. Literally, when I was going to start a podcast, my first thought was, you do what everybody does. I'll have guests on and then blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, wait a minute. Everybody does that. I'm going to do something different that fits my goals and needs. It's not just different for different sake. I want to showcase my expertise. I want to keep it short and tight and get right into even though I'm way over my 10 minutes per. I want to keep it short and tight and not start with 20 minutes of tell me how you grew up. I want it to be actionable and tactical. So I create formats that help my work stand out, not fit in. And whatever you're going to create, and by the way, this goes for everything. This isn't just online, right? If you're making a presentation or a pitch or whatever, how can you make it unique? How can it not seem like every other person that comes in to pitch their PowerPoint? Do something different, be unique, a highly underutilized and super effective tactic. So those 6 tactics, one-on-one conversations, newsletters, doing less, distribution, packaging, and unique formats. All you have to do is master those 6 and you will be unstoppable.